All right. Once again, we're back for another episode of The Tempo, man. I have another up and coming. Well, actually, no, this is the first media person that I got coming up in here. So
really?
you would be number one. So like myself, right? You
yes, number one.
Exactly. Why don't you tell the people who you are?
So my name is Arabia, and I have a traveling pop-up talk show. I'm sorry, I have a traveling pop show called ARABIAaskedyou.
Hey, ARABIAaskedyou. I really like the name too because it kind of gives you it tells exactly what you're doing. You know what
exactly.
I'm saying? Off the buck. Like, did you you thought about that before you even?
No. So I had a friend and I was telling him, I'm gonna ask these questions, and he was like, well, how about you just use ARABIAaskedyou? And I was like, I love it.
Oh man, he might need some credit for that. He gonna be
he
coming
definitely
back
probably does. Right.
Like, hey, where my residuals at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, probably.
That's lit. How long have you been doing the pop-up thing?
I've only been doing it for a year. Yeah, so only 1 year.
Oh no, we in the same boat. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing the podcast. I say 7 months, but I guess technically it's been 5 since I've been having it out there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's because the first 2 months was just like research. You know, like just learning about. I listen to podcasts all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Who's your favorite?
Whew. So many. I guess Joe Rogan would be number one.
Okay.
Right now, but I like Charlamagne and them with Brilliant Idiots. I listen to Sam Harris's one. I like the TED, what's the name? The TED Talks.
Right. Yeah.
I like their podcast as well. Like whatever ones gives me any type of information I'm lit. I used to listen to Joe Budden, but like I don't have a problem with Joe Budden. It's just I only want to listen to it if there's something crazy that's went on in the hip hop world.
That's so true. I was listening, but see, once he moved over to Spotify, I felt like it was just a little bit too much for me to just go there because I'm Apple Music and everything. So, yeah, but I like him.
Yeah, he's cool as shit. Like, what made you decide to, start doing the interview joints?
Well, so I have friends. How I started would be, I had my friends, and I would just text them just random questions. I could be on the metro. Mm-hmm. I could be anywhere, like relationship stuff, just anything. And I would text them questions, be like, so if he was in this situation, what would you do? And then they wasn't answering the question quick enough for me. So I ended up moving it to Facebook. And then I moved it to Facebook, and, I was getting a lot of attraction with my questions. Then I said, okay, I'm going to start just an iPhone group for women. So it was just on iPhones where nobody knew who anybody was. It was just like kind of like people who I knew. Okay. And I just added them to the iPhone group chat, and then it wasn't enough. So then I ended up going to Puerto Rico. So I went to Puerto Rico, and that's when I kind of like started off with my whole ARABIAaskedyou, and I was literally just on the beach, and I asked them, what's the craziest thing you've ever done for love? And that's how I got started.
Oh, wow. That's a good question. What was the craziest thing you ever did for love?
I've done a lot of crazy things. But one thing that I tell people that I did was I was in a relationship, and my ex lived an hour away. And so he got upset at me for something that I did. And I drove all the way out there, and I camped outside his house. And I was going to stay outside his house until he talked to me, because he wasn't talking to me. And he was just like, you need to go. And I was like, no, I'm not leaving until you talk to me. And so, eventually I did leave. But I was going to camp out there until he came out.
Oh, he was stern. He was mad at you.
I did some bad things.
Hey, look, we've all done it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like, I'm trying to think. Like, I think a better question for guys is like, what's the craziest thing you ever did for sex? You know, I think that'll be a much more pertinent question.
So, what's the craziest thing you've ever done for sex?
I drove up to Pennsylvania one time. That was like 2.5 hours. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Was it your girlfriend though?
No. This was not no girlfriend. That's how it was.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
You know what I'm saying? I think I was talking to, what the joint was it back in the day? It was in MySpace and shit.
Oh, you took it all the way back.
All the way back, yeah. Because I was in college when MySpace was. It was like high school, and then it was right before MySpace stopped being popping. You know what I'm saying? So I was rapping to this girl on MySpace and stuff, and she was from the area, but she was going to, I believe it was Lincoln or some school in Pennsylvania, and I was like, she was like, yeah, you should come out here, la da da da, and I don't know what was, but I was just geeking. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but you were young.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I was like, I was probably like 19 or something.
young
like
and
that.
pressed.
Right, impressed. That's how it be. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I done some crazy stuff as well, man. That shit is crazy. So like with the asking question, I think that's so like that's so real because it's like, especially when you talk about on the Facebook, I could just imagine like you asking these questions like that. I know y'all. What do they call it? What's that? The interactions? Is that what they call it? Like it's like to describe. It's like an analytical.
Oh, the impressions.
Yeah. With like people kind of going back and forth and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I know your shit was popping off that.
Well, see, it was just my personal page at the time. So I didn't have the Arabia Actually Facebook page, which I have now. So make sure you guys go like that and follow it. But at that time, I didn't have it. I just had just a regular, just my own page, and it was popping. And then I had noticed that once I moved over to the brand page, it wasn't popping.
Because I see what, because a lot of times with the brand page, it's kind of like it feels a little bit commercial. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when like it's like you already, to me, it's almost like you already have to have something established before people are gonna just go to that Facebook page. You know?
Very true. Very true.
So that one's a little but that's why I like Instagram so much, because it's like Instagram blends in. It doesn't necessarily. You know, because that's really a separate thing for Facebook, right? And so Instagram kind of everybody has a business page, right? You know what I'm saying? They don't even do nothing. You know what I'm saying? But they just have the little business profile. You could call me, text me, promo, whatever. They don't even do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Right. But it's nice because it kind of integrates it, so it's like it's still that I don't know, like I guess the community type of feel. You know what I'm saying? So that's how that shit started being popping. Like, when did you bring your ARABIAaskedyou to Instagram?
Right away. So I started July 4th, 2017 as far as recording. And I was, so I guess like around that time, because I started my brand January of 2017, but I didn't really start recording. And then once I started recording was when I kind of just had all of the social media platforms.
Oh, that's lit. That's lit. So how was your first interview?
Okay, so the one in Puerto Rico. Yes, that'll be my first one. So the one in Puerto Rico, I interviewed maybe 5 people. And so 3 of them I knew. But the other 2 were like random. And so, but I didn't know what their answers were going to be. They knew what the question was going to be beforehand. And back then I would say, before the camera started rolling, I would say, okay, so I'm going to ask you this question. And it's going to be, but it's like literally, okay, I'm going to ask you this question. It was the craziest thing you've ever done for love. Okay, you ready? Let's go. And so it was just kind of like that. So you really still didn't really have a chance to kind of like think of your answer, which is kind of like my motto. Like, I don't want you to give me an educated guess. I want you to give me the first thing that comes to your head, so that way I can know that's what you really feel. Right. And the guy had told me, he was like, I'm not gonna curse because I don't curse, but he was just like, the craziest thing he've ever done for love was eat
the box.
No, like SHIT.
Eat shit?
Yes, that's what he said. And so I was just like, and so I was literally like, what?
Right. You got to tell that story.
Yeah, and he was just like, well, he just said, well, the crazy thing, he was like, what did he say? I can't remember verbatim, but he was just saying, like, you know, women break your heart, and basically, like, you just do anything for love. And that's what he was saying.
I would have to go real deep. I need details about that, because how does it go into eating? You know what I'm saying?
I don't really know. I don't really think he meant, like, you know, per se. I just think he was just saying, like,
I just took a lot of shit from
right.
Him. Oh, okay.
That's what let's hope. You know, I mean, there is some, you know, 2 girls in a cup type situations, but you know.
Oh, God. Yeah, like, that's wild as fuck.
Yeah.
Nah, that shit crazy, man. I know, like, me personally, like, my first interview was, so as we kind of get into this, we're like learning along the way, right?
Right.
So I've always had conversations with people. I sometimes I be driving the bus and I just sit up here and rap to people as they coming on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just like, you know what I'm saying, bringing up whatever. And so, you know, I the first time I thought it was just gonna come like, you know, like water, because that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna set up this. My first time out, I set up 3 different interviews in the same day. Like, and so, yeah, like, and then back to back within an hour of each other, right?
I've done it.
Right. Now, for my first time going out, like, that was a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Because the first one went well, The first one went well because it was Queeby was on there, so me and her always debating about Black consciousness and all of that. So that one was easy money. But then after that, I had Kokomo on there. So he's like a DC legend that just be rapping, riding the bus and stuff like that. Now, when I had him on, I had got connected with him because I used to rap to his daughter. You know what I'm saying? And so, but we wasn't messing with each other at the time. You know what I'm saying? And so, and there was still some feelings on that. See. So then she came through and she was drunk, and but I could say that's some of my fault too, because I'm sitting up there like, I'm bringing, when I first started doing, I used to bring like big bottles of Hennessy, like, yeah, I want everybody to get, you know, because I want to hear the truth, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. So anyway, so it was just a bunch of big wild BS, and you know, she was walking in front of the camera. This dude, he do da da da.
Oh no!
Like, oh my god! So I was like, and then, mind you, I said I had 3 guests, so it was him, them. And so
wait, so when you say 3 guests, do you mean like in one, or are you saying like each one has their own segment? Each one had their own segment. Okay. Each one was one person to come, then they leave, and then the next person would come. And so she was just there the whole time, just acting a fool.
Right. Well, yeah, basically.
And so you just telling her business all out there like that?
I mean, I ain't put her name out there.
I mean, but you said her father name, so
I mean, look, it is.
So it's out there.
It's the truth, right? You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna tell no lies. You know what I mean? But
I feel you. The
biggest thing was just that, like, in the mix of all that confusion, right? You got to be prepared for that. You know what I'm saying?
That's very true.
That's why putting stuff back to back is very. I'm learning that's like, you know what I'm saying? You don't know how long this interview is gonna go. You're just guessing it. You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
It was kind of wild.
But it also is on because I've done that. I've had like 3 interviews in one day. Thank God that one of them canceled.
Right.
But the thing how I do it is if I already know that I have 3 people coming, then it's on me to make sure that, okay, so thank you for coming on. Like, let's go ahead and speed this up. Let's finish this. Right. Because then it's like, because they're just going with you. They're just going with you. So.
Right. And especially because, you know, kind of we do very similar things, but and somehow how they differ. Like, my whole purpose of doing like the whole podcast thing is like I want it to just be a natural conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like I do set it up a little bit kind of like the Breakfast Club a little bit, where it's like I'm asking you certain interview style questions.
Right.
But I want to, if we just kill the shit halfway through and just start rapping about anything, I want that to be there too. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be like a genuine conversation. And so one of my biggest problems that I would say for me is that I had to learn how to talk, how to not only just make it the conversation, but then also to be able to control the situation. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes y'all will get off of y'all get off on little rants and things of that nature. You know what I mean? And it messed up for me too, because I like to talk too, and I, you know, obviously yes, you know what I'm saying. So like sometimes I had to learn to kind of let the person talk too. You know what I'm saying?
I had to learn that too, because I also do panel shows as well. I haven't done them recently, but in the beginning I had a panel show, and on my panel show I had maybe like 6 people, not including myself, so it was like 7 people, and that was like my 3rd show. And so I'm used to just, you know, one-on-one. And then when it was like a panel, I was just like, I don't know what to do, because, you know, I had to learn that, okay, when someone's talking, you know, allow them to speak, but then like wrap it up.
Right. And you also need to be able to pick up, like, you'll find that certain people aren't as talkative as you are, right? So, it's
those are the worst. I hate those type of guests. Oh my God.
It's rough. It is rough. So you got to be able to have that balance. You need to also be able to pick up the conversation when they fall off on it. And that is a real difficult part, because you don't want to do too much and not give that person their opportunity to speak. But then you don't want there to be this awkward dead silence in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? Like that right there is a struggle. You know what I'm saying?
And then it makes it hard for editing.
Good
oh my God.
Man.
Like, oh my God.
We was talking about that earlier. Like, you know what I'm saying? That editing process is trash.
And I edit all of my videos, and I shoot them too. So it's pretty hard.
Yeah, man.
Pretty hard. But I'm cut queen. So you talking? We gonna cut that and let's do a transition. Like,
right. That shit is, it's really real because and obviously we go through similar situations because some people, sometimes you structure your I like to structure my questions where they're very open ended. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not super detailed to the point where you could just say yes. You know what I'm saying? Like yes, this da 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 da. You want to leave these questions open ended so that the person can elaborate on what they're talking about. Problem is that some people just aren't. They either aren't talkative or aren't very articulate. You know what I'm saying? So you'll ask them an open ended question like, I don't know. So how did you let's say how did you get started, right? You know what I'm saying? Right? Like how did all this begin? You know, and so that's a question that literally somebody who could talk. I could sit here and talk 30 minutes about that.
Yes.
You know, and some other people be like, well, I just started rapping about 6 months ago, and then it's a movement, so that's how we doing it. And you be like,
yeah, you look like,
oh my god,
okay,
right,
well,
right. So certain people you have to and with certain people that I've sat down there as well, it's like if you ask the right questions as well, it's sometimes it brings out what they want to say.
Right.
So you can leave open, and that's where you kind of have to do your research a little bit on the guest. I could say like when I had Shooters on the joint from ABM, and he's kind of in the middle. Like he's kind of a I'm not gonna say quiet. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of a chill back gangster, soft spoken type of guy. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? When I asked him certain questions about like things in the past specifically that happened, he was like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, I'll tell you about this." You know what I'm saying? It was da 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 da. So it is difficult, like kind of maintaining the balance. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, like when people are just looking at it, you don't understand the intricacies of what's going on. Like you know what I'm saying? And as we kind of are working trying to build our own platforms, it's like we're learning too.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I know like for me, because I do a lot of pop-ups. So I know I went to one event and it was Black Girls Vote. And so I had got invited to this event. So I researched maybe like 4 or 5 women who were supposed to be there. And I interviewed none of them. So it was just like all of my researching was like in vain. But I was able to get interviews and I was able to still, I like that because I do a lot of pop-ups. I learned how to probe. I used to also work for a call center. So you learn how to probe. You learn how to keep asking those questions. Even if I've never met you, I don't know what your business is. But you would never be able to tell that on camera. You'll think that like I might have knew them or something. And I'll just keep asking questions and keep going. We just gonna keep going.
And that's like that's a natural talent. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of parts about it that you can't really teach. You know what I'm saying?
That's very true.
Naturally be a talkative type of person or a person that's kind of just that's interested in hearing what that person has to say. You know what I mean? Because that's why I ask a lot of detailed questions, like because I want to know what the fuck the real deal is. And that's one of my biggest problems with like certain, that's why I want to do the podcast thing, because I used to be real deep in the radio. I had little internships at NPR and stuff like that.
Nice.
I mean, it was I mean, it didn't grow to anything, but it was a good experience.
Right.
And so one of the things I really don't like about like, let's say radio interviews, and especially like the ones that we hear like on our like WPDC or 93.9 is that they're it's just I'm just facilitating you promo your shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't like those questions where it's just like, all right, so la da 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 da, what you doing? How y'all got started? Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? I heard y'all was at the da 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 da. What's the next move? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not really giving the detailed part that you want to know. Like, let's say for example, like rappers, right? So I think that if I was really trying to be a rapper, like back in the day I used to be, and when I like when I listen to these interviews, I'm listening for gems that I could use, you know what I'm saying, in order to help me grow, right, and help me grow as a rapper. And so when I listen to these interviews, I wasn't getting that. Like when you say, how did you start, right? They say, well, I've been rapping since such and such, got signed to such and such and such and such, and then it just whatever, then it just popped. You know what I mean? That gave you no fucking information. You know what I'm saying? And I be looking for like some of the big details, like where they talk about like with the Migos. You'll have like, how did the Migos get started? Well, one of the biggest things I had seen in one interview, they did an excellent job where they was talking about how they really used a lot of their network, you know what I'm saying, around them. So they had like their friend, while they're in the studio, they got people that fuck with them in there busting down CDs, like literally in there making their own CDs and shit. You know what I'm saying? They were performing at they worked out a deal with this one club, right, where they're just performing at this one club over and over and over and over again to kind of get their buzz going. You know what I'm saying? It was real strategic. And that actually is giving a little bit of a blueprint of, it's giving you good information of how you can get started. And I feel like a lot of the radio interviews and things, they just lack that, you know. It's not giving you that real detailed information, you know.
Right.
So it's rough.
So you said that you used to rap. What was your rap name?
Tempo. I mean, look, my name is Timothy Poe.
So can you spit something?
Hell no. Hell no.
He ain't no rapper.
I mean, look. I don't have rhymes from back in the day, you know what I'm saying?
Then spit something. Go ahead.
No, I can't do it. I don't rap no more, you know what I'm saying? Like, I used to do a lot of like battles, you know what I'm saying? So like rap battles type thing. So I used to like write down the whole, cause that's what they're doing, you know what I'm saying? The whole art of freestyling back where it's coming off the top of your dome, that's not going on. None of it. You know what I'm saying?
So one of my first, I have a show, I have a segment called Rhythm and Wine, and I had a guest on there, and he's a freestyle rapper. His name is Fatal the Cannon, so make sure y'all go check that out. But he is a freestyle rapper, and we was talking about that, and I was saying, like, I cannot stand the fact that freestyle rapping is not the same no more. No. Like, I don't want to see you with a paper, and you just reading off the paper. That's not freestyling to me. That's a regular song. But that's to me. Like, I want y'all to bring back the basement, like BET basement. Like, that's when everything used to pop back in the day.
It did.
BET was definitely the channel to watch. And it's like now, where y'all at? Like,
well, all right, so let me give you a little bit, and this is maybe my opinion, but I think this is absolutely real. So even what rappers used to do, right? And Eminem gave a lot of secrets that was going on in the game, and I learned that. Like, so what you would do, right, is maybe you were Biggie Smalls, but the people that are like Biggie Smalls and Jay-Z and Lil Wayne, where they literally could come up with entire concepts off the top of their head, they are geniuses, right? And so that's not something an average person could do, or even that's like a 0.1 percentile of people that could do that. So what people used to do was you would write out like punchlines, right? You would have like, I don't know whether you write them down or just memorize them in your head. You'll have like these like 16. If I'm about to do a rap battle against somebody, or I'm about to come on whatever Rap City the Basement or whatever the case may be, I'm gonna have these set line of punchlines that I've already have written out, and then I'll say one, and then I'll mix it, then I'll freestyle one. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll integrate something else that I've already wrote, and that's really like what was really going on.
But that's even accepted. Like, I would accept that,
right?
Because even if it's, let's say like it's a freestyle, let's say like right now, I just told you to do a freestyle, and you did a song that you had already wrote. I don't know that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that. I don't know your music. Right. But that's fine. But as long as you're not like reading off a piece of paper.
Well, who's reading off a piece of paper?
Well, I saw Stefflon Don doing that, and I love her. But I'm just like, I can't get down with that.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like, you know, you want that allure. You know what I'm saying? You want this, like, you're a performer. You know what I'm saying? So you can't, like, you don't want to give up. It's like a magician showing you how he's doing the shit while he's performing. You can't. People want that performance, that allure, that this is all happening right now. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like magic almost.
Right.
You know, it's really the same. Like when you're looking at it, you see the dude doing little card tricks, and he over there, and he, you know what I'm saying, whatever, bam, 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 bam. Then he showed you the card that he just did and mixed it all up. You like, what the fuck type of sorcery is this? You know,
but we love the arts. Like, we love that imagination. And it's like, when you take that away from me, it's like, it's all fake. Just like the whole, like, you know, I'm a Nicki fan, just so y'all know, you know, it's Nicki all day. She's the queen.
We can have a good discussion.
Oh, we can have a discussion.
We can have a discussion.
But the fact that, you know, Cardi B, you know, nobody cares if she's not writing her raps. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. You know, all right. So for me, I think that the game itself has the game itself has changed to the point where I don't think that it even matters anymore.
It doesn't.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, and maybe it shouldn't. I'm not even one that say that whether it should. I think that whether it should matter, whether somebody's writing it or not, is, you know, that's a question. But I don't necessarily think that that's automatically a law. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, what is it's the music. You know what I mean?
So Milli Vanilli, it was an issue.
Right.
Drake, it was an issue. It was an issue.
It was an issue.
It might not have been a big issue, but it was an issue.
It was a big issue, but that was the last. I think that ended it. That ended once Drake came back from that. Nobody gives a fuck about it anymore. We don't care whether you write it, your man's wrote the whole thing. Nobody cares. That was the end. That was the end of whether this whole idea of the like the artist needs to come directly from the artist. You know what I'm saying? And I can even, but you know, because it's talking about authenticity, right? But if we're gonna be fair, right, we can even go back to Tupac, right? A lot of the raps and what Tupac was saying that he's doing, right, is not things that he's actually done. You know what I'm saying? Like there are a lot of rappers that, a majority of rappers, right, are talking about things that they have never done. So if we're gonna talk about how, let's say, Cardi B doesn't write her raps, which obviously she does not, but if we're gonna talk about her inauthenticity, right, then we need to talk about other. Just because you can make up a story or you can hear stuff on the you were around the hood, so you feel like you can spit it out.
But like, that's still giving us that illusion. It's still giving us that arts. It's still giving us show business. When you take that away, that's I think that's more so my issue. It's like being a child and you taking away Santa Claus. Now, if you don't know, you know that Santa Claus is not real, then that's different. You just don't know. You don't have to. But it's like you grow up, and it's like your parents told you that Santa Claus is real, and then soon as you get to school, there's that one kid that'll probably be me to tell you, yeah, Santa Claus is not real, and it takes it away from you. It makes you think like all of this is fake. Does that make sense?
No, it absolutely does, and I think that, that's our generation, because I think, you know, people have been writing. There have been songwriters that have been playing the background for as long as music has been out, and especially when it comes to, you know, just music in general. And I think that's just going to be the natural progression of rap as well, you know. And it was, that's why it's like, for me, it's all it's number one, it's subjective, right? So rap is subjective. It's art. All art is really subjective. It's, you know, at the end of the day, we can't really explain like scientifically why this person is the best. Like, it's always an argument. You know what I'm saying? It's always based off your own experiences and shit like that. So because it is subjective, the society itself is the people that like society delegates what the rules are. And I think that us in our particular generation, I just think that we were used to a certain authenticity, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? That new age kids aren't. You know what I'm saying? That the younger generation isn't. And I don't even think that's necessarily a bad thing. As long as the music itself is being, you know, as long as the music itself is keeping up and you know, and which you can argue that it's as good as it's ever been as far as the music that's putting it out. Now, I'm saying that not from what I enjoy, because I don't listen to niggas like, you know, Tekashi 6ix9ine or Lil Pump or almost any of these dudes. But I understand, like, just from a pure standpoint of I'm putting out this content and everybody is enjoying this content. So
yeah, and that's also, I feel like, even with television, you know, like once they came out with reality TV, and it once Mona got her hands on it, it's just like,
oh, nobody like Mona out this motherfucker.
You know what? I like Mona. You know, Mona, if you see me, you know, I'm trying to intern for you, sis. You know, look out. But I just feel like once she came in the game, it just made things a little bit different when it came to reality television. Yeah,
I mean, I think that she's seen what was going on, and that, look, at the end of the day, I think that it was soap opera transformed. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people enjoy. This is the reason why soap operas were so popular back in the day. You know, your grandmother and stuff. She was glued. When Days of Our Lives came on, don't rap to her. Get out the room. If you walking in front of the TV, you gonna get your ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? Like I think us as humans, we love that drama. You know what I'm saying? And so as soap operas started getting played out, there was a void there. There was a void there, and so for a new age type of soap opera, and I think that as people, it like even with reality TV, it gave a more authentic look into some of the still bullshit ass situations that we all go through. Whereas it's like back in the day with the other soap operas, it's like this crazy, like 10 crazy things happen every day. You know what I'm saying?
But the soap opera is acting. And even though reality TV, I would just say,
too.
even though it is acting too, but it's still someone's life. Like, this is an actor playing a role where you have Tiara Marie playing Tiara Marie. Like, this is her life. Does that make sense?
I disagree. I disagree with that part when I say like this is their lives, because to a certain degree it is, but it's hard. Like it's the life that they're personifying. So it's like, even with Cardi B, you could talk about when she's on. Everybody that gets off the show be like, or that doesn't like, that isn't worried about them VH1 checks no more. Be like, well, they told me to do this, this, and that. They're setting up particular scenes where they're making sure we got a nice bottle of Hennessy before we go. We don't even know we're going to go meet each other. You know what I'm saying?
That's fine. But at the end of the day, somebody that's in the audience, they're still looking at them and saying that's who they are. That's just like if you watch a movie and there's that one character who's a villain. You're going to always look at them as that villain. And they literally just playing a role. That's what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. I get what, and I just think that like it's at its core, I think that we just want that entertainment, that drama. You know what I'm saying? Because it's interesting.
Yeah.
And I personally don't, when I like, let's say with shows like like Love and Hip Hop, I like to watch them here and there because they're very educational for me.
Educational.
Like Love and Hip, I tell Joe this shit all the time. Love and Hip Hop is so educational because it lets people know that you can have a nice amount of money, you can look extreme, you can be very, very attractive, you can have all the things that society tells you is supposed to make you happy, and these people are incredibly unhappy and go through a lot of bullshit, you know what I'm saying, while they have the things that society tells you that is the meccas of achievement. Although don't get me wrong, they're not the highest, but
right.
they're not hurting for nothing. When they're not hurt,
No, I get what you're saying, and I can agree with that. I wouldn't say educational, but I see what you're saying.
Like, and I guess it's 'cause I'm a little weird because I be looking at stuff like with Call of Duty, they be like, oh, these games be out here influencing kids to commit murder. But I was like, when I look at Call of Duty and I play it, I be like, that joint teaches me a lot. It teaches me that I don't ever want to be in war, because you know how quickly I die on Call of Duty. I be walking up, bam, nigga, knock my head off. See, when in real life, ain't no coming back from that. You know what I'm saying? So that's how quickly in war you die, my nigga.
Yes.
Like you could just bing, you're done.
Right.
And so to me, that teaches me like, look, we need to watch some of this. And you know what I'm saying? We all let's go to war and shit like that.
Right.
Like this is the shit that could happen. You know, but that's just my way of looking.
I mean,
at it.
but I understand that though. That makes sense. I like how we keep doing these analogies. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling it. Okay.
Yeah, man, I like the analogy. Like, what's the name? This book right here. I be promoting the shit out of it, even though they don't send me no checks, but. You know what
eventually,
I'm saying? Right,
speaking into existence.
Right, exactly. But Jordan Peterson, he's a clinical psychologist, and he talks about some of the relevance of stories in society that help us understand situations. So it's like if I tell you, just like if I tell you what you should do, hey, you should do this, and that, and I just explain it to you regularly, like you'll be like, oh, okay, and it won't grasp you. But if I tell you a story of why that, like this happened to this person and you can grab it more. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So, analogies, stories, like this is the reason why movies are still popping. Like movies will never go out of style. Like that type of entertainment, because, it number one, we're able to suspend reality, but sometimes, fictional stories are more true than reality. In a sense, you know what I'm saying? Like you ever see how like for example, like somebody could be living in that. I deal with that with some of my friends where they just feel like nothing is good about life. They just go through so much suffering, and they have this concept of the world, that the world is somehow out to get them specifically. And it's based on their own experience, but your own experience lies to you. You know, if all you dealt with was guys that were terrible, like just terrible. Let's say your father was terrible. The men that you dated were terrible. You're gonna have an outlook of men that isn't good, and you might have a distorted perception of what all men are. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I do think that stories kind of, and taking an overall picture of things gives you a better insight on what the truth really is, even though your personal experience, is telling you another thing.
I think to a certain extent, because I'm a little different.
Okay.
I feel like, say we dated, right?
Okay.
Just because you hurt me, that doesn't necessarily mean that the next person is going to hurt me. That doesn't necessarily mean that what you did, I'm going to have to deal with it again. Because I feel like if I'm already hurt with the situation, then that means that I have to deal with me, deal with my hurt, before I can move on to the next person and say, like, this person's going to do. But then, if I'm seeing the same behavior, then that's when it comes. It's like, okay, wait a minute. This is the same type of thing, and I don't want to go through this again. And then that's when it's on me as the woman to kind of address that. And I think that's a lot of. I feel like we have a lot of problems as women where you just feel like, well, my father did this to me, or this man did this to me, so this person's gonna do that. No, because that's not necessarily true. And if that man does do that, it's okay, because we all make mistakes. Like everybody is human. We're not perfect.
Sure.
So you have to live. That's just me. I live my life with saying, if you did this to me, that's fine. So then in my next relationship, I need to know, like, okay, this is going on. I need to fix it. I need to look at this. But also, I think that a lot of times people need to, talk to Jesus, because,
It does help. I think that religion does give people, no matter, certain religions, I do think they give you a certain foundation, a certain moral ethics that allow us to navigate the world. And when you just cut out God, I have some people that that just they've been hurt or whatever, or they know some of the scientific history behind some of the religions, and so they just cut out God totally out of their lives. And what you did was you just cut out the whole foundation for how it is that you structure your life. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how we do it. Like, whether you believe in Jesus or whatever the case may be, the whole idea, like, why do good things, right? It's not that it's self-evident that doing good things is the way to go. You know what I'm saying? You learn about a value system that allows you to be able to move through this life and not suffer as much as can possibly happen. Because I think the baseline idea of life is that it's suffering, no matter whether you have money or you don't. And so I think it's our jobs as people to, navigate that, you know what I'm saying? And try to bring as much, positivity and handle some of that suffering as much as we can. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what we generally do mostly. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of bullshit in the world, but
it is. And that's one thing you said was that positivity. Like, you have to stay positive at all times, even in the midst of a storm. Stay positive. I'm reading a book, and what is it called? I think it's called This I Know For Sure by Oprah. And in the book, she was crying about something, and Maya Angelou said, "Just say thank you." And she was like, "But there's nothing I'm thankful for. Like, I'm going through this." She was like, "But you're alive. Mm-hmm. You have this, or you have that. So you need to say thank you even in the midst of your storm."
That's a fact.
And I was like, dang, that was deep.
That is it's super deep, because I look at the end of the day, and this is the way that I choose to look at the world. I'm not necessarily saying it's the best way, but I think that there's an infinite number of facts, right, that are out there in the world. So if you can make a case for almost anything. If I wanted to make a case that America is purely about slavery and that black people have been screwed over and there's no real light at the end of the tunnel, I could make that case based on a certain amount of facts that have happened. I could also make the case in the opposite direction. Like, like, you could talk about, like, how that, let's say, men have been oppressing women throughout the entire course of time, which I don't believe, but, like, I'm saying that, like, at the end of the day, I could take a certain amount of facts and make a case for either one. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And it's I think that the way to go about it is, I like to look at things in a positive light. You know what I'm saying? And as optimistically as I can. You know, because I think that's the only way to have life worth living. You know what I'm saying? Just for me personally.
So you feel like slavery was a choice too?
No, I don't feel like slavery was. Well, all right. So we got to get into some of the definition of what a choice is, because when people say slavery is a choice, I mean by
not people or Kanye.
Like, all right, when Kanye said it, but there is this philosophical idea that slavery itself is a choice because by definition you could choose to die. You could if let's say somebody took you and held you captive, right? And just forcibly made you, let's say, was treating you like a slave. You could essentially kill yourself if you wanted to. You don't have to live that life by definition. I'm not saying they gave you the optimal choices, you know what I'm saying? But by definition, it can be a choice. Now, I'm not arguing the fact that, because I think that when you say that slavery was a choice, what you're doing in a sense is kind of making an excuse a little bit for like you're trying to defend the concept of slavery, like people didn't have to go through it. You know
and I think that's more so what he was trying to say, opposed to saying, because that's inevitable. That's not a choice that you can make. You're gonna die. You're only here to live and die. So that's not really technically a choice.
Well, you can choose how you die. You can choose how you die. You can slit your throat right now on camera if you wanted to.
Okay, God forbid.
Right. I don't want to go to but by that definition, you can choose. You get to choose how you die. You also get to choose how you live. You know what I'm saying? You can choose how you see the world. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I get it from a definitional standpoint. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like, look, the fact that people were looking for Kanye for any type of political advice boggles my mind anyway. Because it's like, why do we respect the opinions of rappers? Like, you rap. You know what I'm saying? You produce beats. So I can give a shit what you have to say about any type of politics situation. You haven't studied it. You're not immersed into it. So I don't give a shit when niggas like Lil Wayne was like, I don't know about, what he say? What he was talking about, like he said, I don't know about he was talking, they asked him about something a while ago. I think that was on 60 Minutes if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember verbatim, but I do remember like,
so he was saying some of the same sentiments, and it was like people was like all outraged, and I was like, why do you give a fuck about what Lil Wayne says about anything other than rap?
The same way how we have a president who was not even a congressman. The same way how we have to look at what he has to say. It's the same thing.
Well, how
he was never, because he was never in politics.
Right, but
he was never a senator. This is the point I'm making. He was never a senator. He was never governor. Mm-hmm. But yet we have to look at him and respect what he has to say as a president. So why is it different than looking at Kanye and Lil Wayne and respect what they have to say as rappers?
All right, because he is in an elected position to make decisions on that.
Yes.
Right? They aren't in any elected position to make any type of decisions.
But that's now. Just say, for instance, they could be the next president, and then you still gonna say the same thing?
Well, then the situation changes. Then.
Okay. Right? Okay.
And then the situation then what he says politically
matter.
It matters.
Okay.
Right? In my opinion, you know what I'm saying? But
I see your logic.
You know, I don't know. Like it's a lot of different ways that you can look at the world, you know. And so I get, to me, man, and you know, my views aren't necessarily mainstream, but
they're your views and they matter.
Right. I mean, to a certain, they matter to me. You know
they matter to me. That's one thing with my show. I feel like your views matter, and I want to hear them.
I like the way you said that.
Yes, because
you just made me feel important.
Because you are important. You're an amazing person. You should know that. So everything you have to say is very important. And you too. Everything you have to say is very important. No, for real. Like, that's one thing. Like, I feel like that's why I want to be a street journalist, because I want to be able to get to the people. Because I don't really, I mean, of course, it'd be a dream to interview Oprah, my mother, and my second mother, Wendy Williams, and then my sister, Nicki Minaj. But just getting to like those real people and seeing what their thoughts are on like the question I just asked you. Even though this is my interview, but I'm interviewing you in a way. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like what I love, just to know like how you feel about a situation.
That's lit. I mean, that's a beautiful way to do it. I mean, so you got the right attitude for the things that you're trying to do. I'm gonna flip it back to this Nicki Minaj thing because I wanted to get some of the detail when it came to that. So, all right, so look, she is probably one of the most, if not the most talented,
and hated.
Yeah, talented and hated. But there's to me there's some legitimacy for the hate, right? Because and I'll say it like, look,
let me listen.
All right, so this is in my opinion, right? So the reason, like, now that society has changed, we don't just necessarily care about your raps. We want to know who you are as a person, right? This is the reason why Cardi B came to prominence as she did. Is because people were following her on her Instagram. They felt like they were really connected to her. And she was the type of, let's say, personality where, you know how you'll have like people like you have like Barack Obama, right? And you really respect him as a person, and you like the type of guy that he is, but he's so good. You know what I'm saying? He's man, his patience, the way he talks to people, he's up here. You know what I'm saying? So as far as your ability to relate to him on a like everyday type of level, it can be difficult for some. You would probably relate to a person that is, let's say, more flawed. You know what I'm saying? And that's how a lot of people tend to. That's what's going on now, in my opinion. And so it's like when people show their flaws, people resonate with that. And so you can see how Cardi B is the type of person that, for at least for women, I don't know, but she seems like the type of that I could sit down, have a conversation with, laugh with. You know what I'm saying? Like, she seems like a very personable type of person. She's like a friend that I know. You know what I mean? And so my whole thing is that Nicki Minaj, as she rose to her status, what happened, and this happens to a lot of rappers, as you become to be more popular, you start to become like almost a caricature of yourself. You're like you're this industry now, you know. And so people aren't gonna, the people that rolled from you from the beginning, where they just felt like, you know what I'm saying, you was from the streets, you was out here thugging it, bang bang boogie, you know what I'm saying, they were relating to you. But those same people, they fuck with you for that, not only your talent, right, but they also fuck with you for that reason, because they can relate to you. Now you get in a position where, as you start, you know, you've developed these accolades and you deserve them, right? Because you are, and you have accomplished many things, and you deserve to be able to talk shit sometimes. But just understand is that when you start talking about, I'm the king of this, I've been doing that, la da 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 da, you see my resume, you know what I'm saying? You can't talk shit like, da da da, can't nobody talk to me. If I ain't on the top of this and that, then that's crazy. You know, like, everything that you just said might be the truth, right?
Okay.
But people, the same people that rock with you are, you know, may not ride with you. You know what I'm saying? They may not, you've lost that connection.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
All right. At what point do you disagree?
Oh, the whole thing.
All right.
But and this is why I say that. So, Nicki Minaj have been in the business, let's say 10 years. Okay. And Cardi B has been in the business for less than 5. Mm-hmm. So she's still getting to that point. She hasn't made it yet. Mm-hmm. She's hot right now and she's big, and I'm pretty sure she probably will continue to get big, and she probably, she'll stay in the game for a while. But she's not at Nicki's status. And this is why I say that. Nicki Minaj has been around so long that when she first started, where Cardi is at right now, Nicki had that same type of people. But I think that with Nicki Minaj, I just, this is my sister, but she just was so, I look at her like, now people look at it like she's bougie. That's the best way for me to explain it.
And that's, yeah, of course.
And right? I think that a lot of people don't like bougie. I mean, I do, of course. Of course, I do, of course.
Right.
But I think that, like, with Cardi, because she's so hood, I guess, people look at that like she's real. They don't look at it like she's, they look at it like she's just a real human being. Mm-hmm. And so with Nicki Minaj, like Beyonce. I look at Beyonce, Nicki, and Rihanna on the same level. They're not doing the same thing. They're not moving the same way as Cardi B. They're not moving the same way as the Migos.
But Beyonce and Rihanna don't move the same way as Nicki Minaj.
You're absolutely correct.
You know what I'm saying?
You're
because
absolutely
Beyonce
correct.
And them, you'll never hear Beyonce say, "I'm the queen of this. I'm doing." I mean, she might.
Oh,
in her
you're
song,
lying.
In her
You're
song,
lying.
But she doesn't talk. She doesn't like. Come on now. In the interview,
First
she
of all,
doesn't portray like I'm the best of this, spitting that out every like. If she ain't picked for this and that, you know what I'm saying? She's not
that's
talking.
a lot. So you're telling me you're not gonna say that you're like the number one. You're not gonna say like you're number one podcaster. You're not gonna say that?
I don't have a problem with you, and it's the thing.
Because that's what
she has the right to say it.
She has exactly the right to say. Because I'm not gonna be sitting here saying, "Oh, I'm second. I'm second.
Fair
I
enough.
am number one." But I am definitely gonna say that. Because that shows you that confidence. Yes, but they're all in different lanes.
They are,
and they're still number one.
But they approach. I think they approach the.
They're three different people. They have three different personalities.
But one thing that you could say about Rihanna and Beyonce that you can't say about Nicki Minaj is that the way that they come off is humble, whereas Nicki Minaj does not. She does, and I'm not saying that
Nicki Minaj went to theater. Nicki Minaj went to theater school. Okay, she is an actress. Nicki Minaj is the odds. Like okay. She's a character.
I like
that.
I like
that's what she's a character. Nicki Minaj gives you performance.
She does.
She gives you performance when it's Queen Radio. She gives you performance when it's an interview. She gives you performance at all times. Which is that's one thing that I love about her. Mm-hmm. She knows how to turn it on. She puts that British accent on. Like Nicki Minaj gives me, this is the odds. I am here. I'm ready. Like that's what but me personally, like I love that. And I think that to some people it comes off like she thinks she's doing too much. She's doing too much. And I don't think that. I just think that she's just being what she knows. She's being a character.
That's fair. And that's fair.
And
there's going to be cons to that, though.
You're absolutely correct. But one thing I can definitely say is she has not changed. If you go back and listen, but you got to go back because that's the thing. You got to go back and listen. If you go back and listen to Nicki Minaj, she was definitely doing the same thing back in the day.
Fair enough.
So nothing has changed. The only thing different is that we as society has changed, and just as the same way how you saying that you're accepting people, you don't care if people write their raps or not, because you said that.
That's true.
And so I'm just saying, because you said that, but your generation, because we're not in the same generation clearly, but your generation, those are the type of people who just feel like they don't care.
And that's fair. And like I don't necessarily when I say that I don't have a problem with it per se. I just don't have a problem with it. I don't like I said, I don't listen to a lot of their music anyway. But at the end of the day, I think that look, she can navigate it however she would like to navigate it. That is no problem. There's a reason she's successful. She's incredibly successful, and that success is, you know what I'm saying, is I think it's right. Like she did her she paid her dues and she earned it. But the thing about you can't, for me, you didn't even dispute the point that the people that we just named, like let's say Beyonce, Rihanna, and Cardi B, when they're talking about they move in a different way that doesn't. There's a lot of aggrandizing that comes with Nicki Minaj. There's I'm this, I've done this, such and such and such. You don't find that in Rihanna. You don't find that in Beyonce. You don't find that in Cardi B. You know what I'm saying? And the reality is that, Cardi B didn't even come at Nicki Minaj's neck. It wasn't like she was coming through saying, I'm the best rapper, I'm coming up in the game. There was a lot of hate just because she was doing well.
I'm going to pause you.
All right.
So I don't think that that's what it was now. I don't think that's what
right?
No, we're not. No, you are. I'm not.
Okay.
You're speculating. No.
All right, fair enough.
This is a BARB.
All right.
Okay, so I definitely agree with you. Nicki Minaj definitely came out like that. And I know that now with her not even being nominated for real in the Grammys, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. And it basically proves your point. However, I do think that in this particular situation, like with Cardi B, I don't know. I lost my thought. Because I had a thought. But
I got you.
I just think that she didn't. I'm sorry. So when she came out, when she had the interview with Ebro, I think that was his name, and she basically talked about how Nicki Minaj had to change her rhyme, had to change her line. In motorsport, that was kind of where it kind of shifted, because when she came out, when they was in motorsport, I was like, oh my God, these two coming together, like this is dope. And then when she came out with that interview, and I don't know if, I mean, it could be true, it could not be true, because again, I don't know. This is show business. In my personal opinion, and this is personal, not even BARB status, I think it's all fake. Like, I think the beef is fake. I think
possible. That's definitely possible.
I think all of it's fake. Just even the whole engagement to or marriage to Offset. I think all of that was fake. I think all of it was just a publicity stunt. And I think that so that's what kind of makes it kind of like weird, because it's like, I don't know if I should go with the whole like publicity stunt or like this really happened. But nonetheless, I think that as far as with the motorsport situation, when she came out about that, Nicki Minaj was upset about that. And so she was upset because she's like, and I mean, I don't see her to lie.
They was talking about like that people were saying that they were beefing when they wasn't, and then Quavo.
That's how it started, though.
They didn't do nothing to quell that. And fair enough, but I'm not necessarily even talking about the beef. I'm just talking about.
But I'm saying that's how it started. That's how all of that started, was when she got on Queen Radio, and when Cardi was on Ebro, and she told, she was on. She had an interview with just him, and she talked about how they was sitting outside. I think that's his name, if I'm not mistaken. But they was sitting outside, and she was just saying how, she had to change her line, and she didn't know, So then Nicki Minaj was like, what? And so that's when she got on Queen Radio, and she said, it's just funny to me that she didn't know about none of this. Because at first, it was just supposed to be her and Quavo on the song. And then now all of a sudden, she asked them, if they could all be on the song. And then now it became like a whole thing. So that's why I'm saying, like, not the whole, like, throwing the shoe and all, not that beef, because we ain't about to talk about that. But
yeah, I mean, look, I get what you're saying. You're right about that. I'm just talking about the premise we started from was, let's say, why people, let's say, resonated or are now resonating with Cardi B more than they resonate with Nicki Minaj.
But again, back to what I was saying, like, Cardi is still new. Like, she came from reality TV. The same argument that you had about reality TV, about how, it's real, people love that drama. That's the world we live in right now. So of course she's gonna be at the forefront, because people saw her on that show. So it's basically like they saw her start from the bottom. Which most times with artists, we don't see that. I mean, sometimes you will if you listen to people's mixtapes and you're a real loyal fan, but 9 times out of 10, no. Like, you're gonna come once they're on mainstream, and then you're gonna go back and listen. That's how it was with Kevin Gates. Actually, no, that's a lie. But because I was mixtape Kevin Gates. That's Bay right there. Okay. But no, so like that's what happened. So when she was on TV, that's what made a difference. Nicki Minaj had to start literally from like scratch. It was no reality TV to kind of bump her up.
But that's not fair, because
is it fair or is it facts?
No, I don't think if we're talking about facts, then you can't just start from when Cardi B came on reality TV, because then you would have to talk about before she got there, right? There's always neither one of them were rich, got promoted by like rich, like they all had to struggle. Now Cardi B did the new wave of, let's say, building your own following on social media, then moving from social media, connecting some contacts, getting on TV, then, establishing a brand that way. Nicki Minaj had to do it a different way.
Right, but I'm saying that different way. And I'm not taking away from her, because, congrats to you. But
which way was better?
There's no better way.
Okay.
I'm not saying it. There's no better way. But the world that we live in now, the Cardi way is the way. That's the way to get it. Well, however, some of them people on Love and Hip Hop, they don't kind of make it. So.
That's fair enough. She was the only one.
She was one.
I mean, you got DJ Self. Right. DJ Self is like, he does really well for himself.
Yeah, but like before that show, I knew nothing about him.
Well, you knew nothing about him, but DJ Self was even with DJs themselves, they aren't necessarily the face on the forefront of everything.
I mean, I knew DJ Clue.
Well, yeah, but DJ Clue was number one. DJ Clue been out for damn near 20 years. You know what I'm saying?
How long Self been out?
Self been out for a while as well. But like but he has DJ Self has like almost a similar track record to DJ Clue.
Okay, so who have he brought out opposed to like, I guess, Cardi B?
All right, so I don't wanna go back and forth with this Self, because I'm not educated in it. You know?
Okay.
I'm not educated in that particular point. But what I will say is that look, I think we both agree that times have changed.
Yes, times have changed.
That times have changed, and times change. That's just the reality of the situation. Our generation, we like to feel because we grew up in it that our generation did it the best, and we're the previous generation, right? Because every previous generation says that the new generation is doing it wrong, right? That's how they always try to blame, and I never want to be that type of old dude, because that shit blows my mind. Where you have old heads that grew up, like born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and 90s, and they be like, man, y'all youngins out here wild today, and you be like, damn. You were a part of the crack epidemic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you're not gonna take any responsibility for that, and then it makes no sense. Like, especially it'll be like a parent talking shit about their kids, because it's like
that's how my uncle is.
That's terrible, but that don't make no sense, because it's like, if I'm a parent and I'm talking shit about how my kid is not doing this and not doing that, I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about my own lack of parenting that helped contribute to what this person is today.
So I don't think that's what they're saying. Cause I know, like, my uncle would be like, we grew up with rape forever, like all that stuff, and it's just like, I think they just saying like, we had it worse than what you had it.
But that's not necessarily true.
But it's not.
That's not necessarily true. So it's like, that's why I refrain from that particular talk, and that's why I try to be understanding of the newer generation, because of course they have to do it different, because nothing is going to work forever. You know what I'm saying? True. Things have to grow, things have to change. You know what I'm saying? Or it wouldn't be life. You know what I mean? So exactly, it's evolution. So it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, I don't try to judge these these kids, or I'm not even saying that the way that Cardi B is coming up now, and social media is playing a really weird role. It's hard for us to really navigate how. I don't know how my daughter's going to navigate it, to be honest with you. Like, back in the day when you played around, you did some dumb shit when you was 13, 14. Kissed the dude. Now everybody saying you suck dick. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude lie on you. Y'all ain't never got lied on by a dude. You know what I'm saying? A nigga lie. Now, mind you, you know what I'm saying? Or let's say, I'm not talking about y'all, but let's say, for example, you were in high school and you did some dumb shit like we all did. Maybe you fucked somebody that you in the stairwell. I know for a fact endless motherfuckers was fucking in the stairwell. So at the end of the
stairwell used to be popping.
But exactly. But now it's like, now this I don't know how she's gonna navigate it, because now we have camera phones. Now the information that's going through now is gonna be information that's gonna, once your shit gets put out there, it's out there forever. You know what I'm saying? So, and now the bullying, they all talk about this, we're gonna stop bullying and this and that, but you can't control. Every kid has a cell phone. Like, the bullying now is like, it's I ain't even gonna say it's worse, but it's different now, because like, maybe they can't do it right there, right in front of your face. You don't see as many kids like, getting beat the fuck up. But now they go on the internet, and they got
and cyberbullying
the whole high, and it's like every high school, because now they all connected. Like, all the high school. It used to be back in the day where you'd be like, yeah, I know some people that went to Suitland. I know some people with the la. Now we all follow each other. Right. So one thing happens to this person, it's and going to everybody knows about it. And and so it makes it seem right, because the reality is, all right, so what? Let's say, for example, you was in the hallway or something, and somebody dropped your pants down, and now you got a little dick. Everybody seen it. You know what I'm saying? Or you whatever, nigga, you was sucking dick on camera. Whatever.
So as a parent, how would you handle that?
That's the thing. I don't think that we know. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that we know how to navigate. We didn't go through this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we try to tell our kids like be very careful about social media. But like, look, how much did you listen to your parents about what That's you had going on? You know what I'm saying? So it's to me it's scary. Well, you know what I'm saying? But look, we every generation has their own set of challenges, and it's all about how you look at the world. And I think that, things are, when I look at the world, I see that there's wild shit that has never been done. And there's also really good shit that has never been done. I mean, you could look at it and be like that black people are being like super oppressed, and you're definitely right about that. But then you also could look at the fact that we have people of color in positions that we've never had before ever in history. You could talk about how, like, let's say men, you could say, like, let's say it's been a patriarchy, right? This whole bullshit concept that is men have just been oppressing women for all time, but the reality is, you can look at it right now, like the patriarchy still exists, right? But the reality is that number one, black women are educated at 5 times the level of a black man. They're now making more money than the black man. And when we talk about just men in general, who takes up the majority of the homeless population? It's men. Right, and there are no safeguards for men. Right, me and Joe was talking about that the other day. The reality is, if you're a woman and you have kids, especially if you stay in the DC area, you have avenues to kind of help out your situation and get out of it, or at least help sustain you for a while.
Right.
If you are a man, and especially a single man out here, and you don't have any resources, you're out of luck. You are on the street, my nigga. And not only are you out on the street, but nobody gives a fuck.
Right.
Right, like people talk about rape, right, but nobody gives a fuck about niggas getting raped in jail. Nobody really gives a fuck about men getting raped at all. Like, but that's not to say there's still a lot of things that women go through too. Like I couldn't imagine, right? Like, now that the roles have reversed, really, I couldn't imagine like being a woman right now and trying to develop a long-term relationship with a man, especially another man of color, right? Because if you look at it, so now, you know, women tend to want a guy who's on their level, you know what I'm saying, or above. You know what I'm saying? That's psychologically proven. Men tend to date across the spectrum and down, you know. But now, since women are educated at 5 times the level, they're making more money. Now there's this pool. Women are still searching for a pool of a man who can not only be able to financially take care of himself, but also, you know, be able to take not necessarily even take care of you, but just kind of meet you halfway. And the pool for people who can just financially take care of themselves is now a pond. And on the other side, why, if you a dude right now, you know what I'm saying, if you got a car, your own place, a solid income, you can be ugly as shit, but you ain't gonna have no problem finding a woman now. So the way that things have kind of manifested is it's messed up. You know what I'm saying? But it's about how you look at it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, every generation, like, you can go back thousands of years, we've all had our set of challenges, but we can't just look at the world like that it's this person's fault. It's that people's fault. It's this, and that. It's like, look, this is what we got going on. This is our set of problems. And, you know, let's not demonize one another. Let's just state that this is what it is, and let's try to move forward.
I think we as people, not even just looking at it race-wise, I think that we have to be able to lift up the woman, lift up the man. And I think a lot of times, like, I had made a post on Facebook, and I said, I tagged like a whole bunch of men in it, and it said like something about like crowning the man, like giving him his crown or something like that. And I think that a lot of times we as women, including myself, we don't applaud the man for what he does do, and we always look at what he doesn't do. And I think that you know, that's a problem, because you want a man to say like, babe, you know, thank you for doing this, thank you for getting the kids, thank you, like, you look beautiful. A woman wants a man to do all of those things, but it's like, are you doing that to that man? Are you lifting him up? Are you making sure that you're being there for him? Are you being his covering and, you know, just helping him out? Like, just a simple, just, you know, babe, you look good today. That haircut, that's really good. And it'll go a long way just to uplift just the man, not even just a black man, but
anybody, right? That concept goes across the whole, you know, social, political avenues. It's like what you're saying fundamentally is that, you know, you're really taking responsibility. You know what I mean? You're like, all right, this is what's wrong with me, and I see that you have things wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna talk about the things that you are doing well without demonizing you. And that's the problem. We want equality, so we're trying to fix oppression, right? But one of the problems is that we're trying to fix oppression at the expense of somebody else. And that right there doesn't work. You don't, and those people like that do that, for me, is like, I don't like that shit. And I see through it like when you have people like, what's his name, Derek Jackson or something, that he's always pandering, and his whole philosophy is to completely just talk about the bad shit that men do, right? And he's like a feminist a radical feminist to the extreme. And to me, it just, anybody who has to talk And that's how I develop friends. If you have to talk bad about somebody else in order to, let's say,
To
get
lift
my
you up.
approval, exactly, to lift yourself up, to get my approval, then I see where your intentions are. Right?
See, I think that with him, I like him. I like, like what he has to say, because I think that a lot of times women do need to hear a man's perspective. And it's like, basically, he's your male best friend. Like, he's the person that's telling you what men are really thinking. But I think that he lacks this is supposed to be your guy. So at the same time, right, balance. That's what he lacks to me. Like, it's one thing, okay, tell the woman, yes, this is what it is, but then also say, well, men, this is what it is too.
Right.
And I think that, again, the same thing. Like, you have to. It's not always the man. It's not always the woman. And I just think that a lot of people, we have to be responsible for our own actions.
Exactly. That's real. You gotta break it down to the level of the individual, and that's really what it's about. You know what I'm saying? And I can see that across all. I see that common theme across every almost political thing that I could hear of. It's always like, well, you know what I'm saying? We ain't trying to hear what white people got to say. You know what I'm saying? They need to shut up and don't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because of what we went through, right? Or you'll have like, you know what I'm saying? And vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll hear like, well, we ain't trying to hear what somebody else trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not balanced and
it's not fair.
It's built off resentment though. That's what I'm saying. And that's especially with the Black consciousness community, because I was really a part of that for a long time. And I feel like that one of the problems I see with a lot of them is that you're feeding off of resentment more than you're focusing on progression and positivity, you know? And that right there, like if we got to sit up here and say, oh, the white devil this and this and that just don't, like, for me, you lose me because you're intellectually inconsistent. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I had a conversation with someone and they said I was wrong, but the conversation was basically like, I hate the fact that African Americans would get upset if Caucasians would be in blackface. Mm-hmm. But then it's okay, or it's comedic for when people of color to put on, I'm not going to say white face because I don't know what that terminology is, but it's comedic when they do that. And I'm like, but that's not fair.
Right.
Or like making comments like, oh, they can come to the cookout. But not all of us be going to cookout. I mean, we kind of do, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think it's just not fair. Like, you want people to see you as equals, but yet you're still setting up that barrier.
Exactly.
But then we as African Americans, we set up the barriers even within our own races. You know, even with another black woman or another black man, we're so divided as a race that it's just like, how can you expect how do you expect change if you can't even change within your own community?
Absolutely. Like, it's this whole idea of intersectionality, and this is how people will defend it. They'll be like, well, I seen this one funny little cartoon about it the other day. I couldn't stop laughing at it, but it was talking about that we're redefining definitions. So like the fact that, like, let's say black people can't be racist, right? Because being racist implies, like, let's say believing that your class is superior plus institutional power. Right. And so they're adding institutional power. It's this whole Foucaultian concept that if you add institutional power, like I can't be racist because I don't have the power to do something.
Exactly.
Right. But that doesn't make sense definitionally. Like what sense is that? Like and for anybody who even, if you just look at the definitions, I'll be sitting up there looking at these definitions like, am I missing something right here? Am I missing something? Like but and then the fucked up part about it is you can use it for anything, right? You can use it for anything. So it's like, well, then, you know, a transgender, like, you can't, like a transgender, they can't be homophobic or whatever the case may be because they don't have the institutional power that goes along with being whatever. You know what I'm saying?
And I don't think that's fair.
Right. It's changing.
But then again, it's so many double standards.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? People that are like men and women, this is like being a father or being a parent. And if your son wants to be out or have a girl over, it's okay. But a woman can't do that, or a girl can't do that. Yeah. It's so many double standards.
It is, man.
Because he could definitely get that girl pregnant, but...
That's true, man. It is, man. And I tell you, like, we could sit up here and rap about this shit all day long. You hear me? But, like, man... I want to thank you for coming on the show, man. Like, this was a lovely conversation. You know what I'm saying? And
it's different.
You have a lot of interesting insights. You know what I mean? So tell people where they can find you at.
Yes, guys, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at ARABIAaskedyou. And if you want to talk to me, you can email me at info@ARABIAaskedyou.com.
That's beautiful, man. Well, you know, this was another great episode of the Tempo Show, man. There's a lot more to come, man. But we gonna holler at you.
Clearly,